up, YouTube? Happy New Year's Eve! To wrap up the end of the year, I thought I would do a sort of quick fire summary of everything I read this year, but also an end of year book tag. So instead of going into every single one of the 45 books I read this year, I'll just answer questions and talk about those books.
How long is this going to take?
So, grab a drink. I have a V Refresh blackcurrant and yuzu, and get cozy. Get your blanket if it's not too hot where you live, and yeah, let's get started.
Okay, let's go.
January. In January, I read Intermezzo by Sally Rooney, The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren, Snowed In by Catherine Walsh, Dear Dolly by Dolly Alderton, Six of Crows by Lee Bardugo, The House of My Mother by Sherry Frankie, and The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Heather Morris. So that's 3 physical books and 4 audiobooks. I guess January was my audiobook era. I think my favorite from January was Intermezzo. That was the first book I read of the year. I love Sally Rooney, and I think this is potentially my second favorite book of hers. I'm not entirely sure. It's been a year since I've read it. And I think my least favorite was probably Dear Dolly by Dolly Alderton. That was an audiobook I listened to, and it was just a bunch of advice. Dolly Alderton narrated it, so she was quite funny and witty, but it was really just an advice column put into a book. In February, I read The Secret History by Donna Tartt, Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros, Sociopath by Patrick Gagne, and Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino. The only audiobook in February was Sociopath, and I'm gonna have to say that was my favorite book of February. Just from a psychological perspective, it was really interesting. I learned a lot about sociopaths. It's a memoir, and she is a sociopath, and she is a normal functioning human in society, and it's just about her life and how she discovered that she is a sociopath. She had to fight for that diagnosis, and really just an insight into all the things that sociopaths feel and how their brains work. It's very, very fascinating. And my least favorite in February was Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino. I rated that at 2.5 stars. I don't really remember it. I know it was romance. Yep. In March, I read Crooked Kingdom by Lee Bardugo, Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton, Rebel Witch by Kristen Cicerelli. I reread Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare, but I listened to it as an audiobook this time, and Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. Now, I think my favorite was probably Sunrise on the Reaping. Of course. Hey Mitch. I love Hey Mitch so much. And my least favorite was probably Rebel Witch. That is the second book in the Crimson Moth or Heartbreak Hunter. Heartless Hunter series. I can't really remember. Oh my god. Okay, April was another big audiobook month. We've got None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell, 8 Years of Lies by Lisa Hall, From Here to the Great Unknown by Lisa Marie Presley and Riley Keough, The Rag Picker King by Cassandra Clare. I got a DNF, but I included it because I listened to most of it. Raised by a Serial Killer. Hello, I heard you coming. Are you going somewhere? Nice. Other audiobook I listened to was Some of Our Parts by Laura Kennedy, and then Fearless by Lauren Roberts. Yeah, damn, I read 3 books, physical books in April while I was doing my honours in psychology, which is crazy. I think my favourite was definitely I can't say this book. Definitely The Rag Picker King by Cassandra Clare. I love Cassandra Clare, and this was the second book in the Swordcatcher Rag Picker King series, and I just love it. I'm gonna have to reread that, but I don't know when the third book comes out. I'm really excited. My least favorite was probably either the book I DNF'd because it was just too long and depressing. Even though it was a true story about a daughter, it was her memoir about her father who was a serial killer. It was quite boring. Sorry. And the other audiobook, 8 Years of Lies, that was a thriller. And for some reason, I thought it was based on a true story, but it completely just wasn't. And I think I only realized that like a third of the way in, and I was like, what? I don't even know. That was just a weird thriller. May was a really tiny reading month. That was a very stressful uni month. I read Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez and Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. Really enjoyed both of these. I rated Say You'll Remember Me higher than Great Big Beautiful Life. But I mean, honestly, I remember Great Big Beautiful Life more than Say You'll Remember Me. I think both were pretty good. Yeah. I don't even know. Girl, I don't know. I'm getting hot. Yeah, so no best or worst, just the 2 new releases that came out that I had to read ASAP. In June, I read Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent, Conditions of Will by Jessa Hastings, Deep Cuts by Holly Brickley, and Six Scorched Roses by Carissa Broadbent. My favorite was definitely The Conditions of Will by Jessa Hastings. It just felt like peak Magnolia Park's writing, plot, story. Loved it. And I loved the complex family dynamic and the romance, and that it's a standalone. I loved it. Oh, and then my least favorite was probably Deep Cuts or Six Scorched Roses. That one is just a novella in the Crowns of Nyaxia series, and Deep Cuts was, I don't know, I'll get into that in the end of year book tag. July, I read Babel by R.F. Kuang. I think it's Kwong. R.F. Kwong. I read The Hobbit, or listened to The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien, and Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This was a very good reading month. Both physical books I read were 5 stars. Very different books. I think I just can't choose a favorite, honestly. In August, another really small reading month. I read 1 physical book, Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston, and I listened to The Fellowship of the Ring, which is the first book in the Lord of the Rings series. In September, I did not read a single physical book. I think I was reading one, but I didn't finish it until October. This was the bulk of when my thesis stuff was all due, or when I had to get it done. So I only listened to Maybe You Should Talk to Someone by, who is that by? By Laurie Gottlieb. Yep. That was really good. That was 5-star listen. Very interesting. October, I finished Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. This was the one I was reading throughout September. It's a thriller, was extremely dark and very much not what I needed to be reading when I was trying to escape from the hell that was my uni life during those months. And then I listened to The Two Towers by J.R.R. Tolkien. This is the second book in the Lord of the Rings series, and I read Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. I think that was my favorite of the month, and my least favorite was Pretty Girls. November, I read Greta and Valdan by Rebecca K. Riley, Beartown by Frederick Buckman, that was a reread, and I listened to The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. My favorite was obviously Beartown. I rated that 5 stars the first time I read it, and obviously still held up. Probably my least favorite was Greta and Valdan. That was a book club read, but it was pleasantly surprising. Not the worst book ever, obviously. I gave it 4 stars, but my least favorite book of that month. In December, I read Manacled by Sen Lin Yu, The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman, The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year by Ali Carter, and Good Spirits by B.K. Borison. Right now, it's the 28th of December. I am still reading Butter by Asako Yuzuki, and Icebreaker by Hannah. What is her name? Hannah Grace. I'm listening to both of those. I'm switching sort of between the physical book and the audiobook for Butter because that is another book club read, but I am not super enjoying it. But I am finding it a lot easier to enjoy when I listen to it. And then Icebreaker is just Icebreaker. I really am just listening to it for the plot, for the plot of my life. Like, this book is going to be 1 star or 0 stars, but I've got to get through it. I don't even know. And of course I'm going to listen to the other books. It's just a fun thing to listen to, books that I know I'm not going to enjoy, but I'm not even wanting to put this on. Yeah. The total statistics. My Goodreads says I read 46 books, but my Fable says I read 45. And I can't be bothered to find where the distinction is. So we're just going to say 45. I've read 16 audiobooks at a total of 8 days, 5 hours and 51 minutes of listening time, which is crazy. Those Lord of the Rings books, man, they were like over 20 hours each. And I'm actually still listening to The Return of the King, which is the third Lord of the Rings book, but I didn't finish it in time and it was returned back to the library, but I've just got it back. So hopefully I'll finish that soon. But I have, as I said, 2 other audiobooks I'm listening to, and I've read 29 physical books at a total of 12,416 pages. Yes! Had to turn the aircon on. It's hot. But I need the blanket. I need to be cozy. I'm getting cozy. Okay, my Fable stats. Let's have a look. So my average rating this year was 4.1 stars. Wow. My best reading streak was 34 days. So that means I just read, the most amount of days I read in a row was 34 days, which is not bad, especially considering that I was doing my thesis this year. According to Fable, my most read genre was romance at 16 books, which tracks fantasy at 12 books, biography at 7 books, young adult at 7 books, and literary fiction at 6 books. Young adult. Whatever. And of course, my most read author was J.R.R. Tolkien, but that's because I was trying to get through all the books. All of the Lord of the Rings. Last year I read 74 books. That's insane. Now on to... I need to get comfy. Now on to the end of year book tag. Carbonation. I'm just gonna answer some questions about the books I read and give an answer. Well, I don't even know what I'm doing. Who did I get this from? So I got these questions from another YouTuber, Triumphal Reads. Thank you so much for the questions. They're great questions. He says he stole questions from many of the versions out there, but I'm stealing from you. Thank you so much. The first question is, what was the longest book you read this year? The longest book I read was Manacled. Manacled was so long. I read that because I was like, okay, I finished my thesis. I have no more uni. I've been wanting to read it for ages and sort of know what the hype was about, especially because Alchemist came out this year. I'm so glad I read it when I did. It was the perfect time for me to read it. I just hit my knee and it reflexed. That was at a whopping 945 pages in the physical version. Oh, let's see how long it took me. It took me about 2 weeks, which I think is pretty good, but I was reading a lot, like a lot. The most I had been reading in the past couple months. And that was obviously 5 stars. The shortest book I read this year was Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino. This was a romance. I rated it 2.5 stars. I read it on my Kindle. I actually have no memory whatsoever about what it was about, or the characters, or just anything really. I think that was my lowest rated book of the year as well. New favorite author, R.F. Kuang. Kuang? Oh my god, how do you say it? I should really look this up. R.F. Kuang. Okay. I read Babel by her this year. This was my first book of hers. Absolutely loved it. I loved the writing. I loved how smart you can tell this author is through the writing. The amount of research that went into at least this book. I know her other books, there's a fantasy series and Yellow Face, which is like a literary fiction sort of thriller mystery vibe, I think. But this woman, so smart, so she's just with it. Anyways, yeah, definitely a new favorite author. Put her back. What do we got? I don't want to get it. I should get it. Oh, we are Charlie Cat. Made You Happy. Book that made me very happy was Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. This was my first book by her. It's a romance, very cute. This was I think the first romance I read, or one of the first books I read after I was free from the shackles of uni. This was just like a breath of fresh air. I loved it. It got me back into the mood for reading. I loved it so much. It made me so happy and like giddy. It's actually a unplanned pregnancy trope. I think this is maybe the second book of that trope I've read, and like I don't hate it, but it is weird. But this wasn't weird at all. It was beautiful, and yeah, that one made me very happy. The most depressing was Beartown. Duh. Beartown is so depressing, but it's also, I don't know, it's not the most depressing book I've ever read, but it was the most depressing book I read this year. It is so beautifully written though, and just so important. Like, I will forever sing the praises of this book. So you've been warned, if you're going to read Beartown, it's depressing, but also extremely good and just a must read. A book that you've thought about the most. This is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This was a hard one, but as soon as I saw it, I was like, yeah, I've thought about a lot of books this year, but honestly, this one stuck with me. I read it in the thick of, when did I read it? July. Yeah, I would have been in the thick of assessments. This was just the perfect escape. It was so beautiful, but also extremely intense and like insane. I love this book, and yeah, I really haven't stopped thinking about it since. Honestly, oh my god. And I've just realized that I think about this book all the time. Favorite cover is either Good Spirits by B.K. Burrison. Just look, okay. When I first saw this cover, I was like, yeah, it's a bit cheesy, like one of those cheesy romances, but it's stunning. I don't know. Something about it. I think it's beautiful. So either that one or this one again, Babel. This one is gorgeous. I love the spine. Just amazing. Most likely to reread. Hate to repeat a book, but but it's got to be Atmosphere. Most likely to reread because, oh my god, it's a signed copy. I forgot. Slay. I'm pretty sure I got through this really fast. I just couldn't put it down. Like, honestly, so good. Hello, who's messaging? Okay, whoa, so distracted. Okay, I really was just like, yeah, I would be most likely to reread this because I got through it so fast and it was just so good and so bingeable. An underdog. Oh my god, where is it? Now, this is not an underdog in my eyes, but in the eyes of society, it is. I have heard no one talk about this series. Why? This is the underdog of this year. This book is so good. This was a new release this year, the second book in the Rag Picker King series. Okay, I get it. The first book, The Swordcatcher, was quite slow, but it was very much a world-building book, right? I rated Swordcatcher 4 stars, but I think that first book does everything it needs to do to build the series up, right? I feel like this is going to be a long series, hopefully, fingers crossed. And this book is just, oh my god, I can't even put it into words. I loved this book so much and no one's talking about it. This is the perfect like high fantasy with a little bit of romance, with action, with politics, with love and lies and war and whatever else. It's brilliant. Cassandra Clare is always brilliant. So this is definitely an underdog for this year. Most surprising, I'm going to have to say, sounds like, I would say Atmosphere because, technically I am saying Atmosphere, but this is not my final answer. Atmosphere was surprising because I was like, astronauts? I don't give a crap about astronauts. Her other book, Carrie Soto, is back. Everyone's like, oh, it's not really about tennis. But I found that book quite hard to get through because it was a lot about tennis and I don't give a crap about tennis. So I thought the same about this, but I was very wrong and I was very happily surprised. But my actual answer is Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston. This was surprising because Ashley Poston's last release, a novel love story, I didn't love. That was my least favorite of her books that I've read so far. This one I really enjoyed. I had so much fun. I think maybe because of the music of it all, and like I'm a big music person, maybe that really appealed to me. But yeah, honestly, this was quite surprising, and I'm really glad that it was a surprise and that I loved it. Yeah, this was a 4-star read. So yay! Most frustrating. The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King by Carissa Broadbent. This book, I'm not sure. I really did read it at an inopportune time. It was in... Oh, yes. This is the distinction. I put this in as finished, even though I DNF'd it on Goodreads, and that's why it says I've read 46 books instead of 45. I found it, okay, because I can't remember exactly where, oh yeah, okay, I got to page 340, okay, that's basically a whole entire book. So I put it in as read, and then I think I just looked up what happens in the rest of it, because stop. I was reading this for almost a month. Yeah, that's why I only read one book in August, because I was trying to get through this. Yeah, I don't know. I just think this was just not what I needed when I was reading it. And also, I think I don't give a shit about vampires. I don't know. It's just weird. It weirds me out. Except for in A Court of Thorns and Roses. That one doesn't weird me out. But this one did, okay? So that was most frustrating, because I really just don't want to finish the rest of the series now. And I bought them all, so that's very frustrating. Most disappointing, where is she? Most disappointing is Deep Cuts by Holly Brickley. I thought I would love this because it's very music forward and it's a romance and about songwriters, but honestly it did not hit the way I thought it was going to, and so that was very disappointing for me, because I was really anticipating giving this a high rating. I think I still gave it 3.75 stars. So yeah, not terrible, but obviously not a favorite, and yeah, I was quite disappointed by that. But what can you do? Most overhyped. I'm gonna possibly get for this, but The Secret History. I read this in February. I remember really enjoying the first part, and if it was just the first part, it probably would have been almost 5 stars. However, the second part just really ruined it for me. It was like I was reading a completely different book. I think I rated The Secret History 3 stars. Just not for me, and felt quite pretentious. So that's that one. The most underhyped is, of course, again, The Rag Picker King. Need I say more? Needs to be hyped more, please. Okay, and the last question is a book that you wish you had read in 2025. I wish that I had read... It's in here. I really wish I had read The Favourites by Lane Fargo. This was so popular this year. A lot of people loved it, but I'm getting to it next year, so yeah. But I just wish I had gotten around to it this year. And another one is also The Bright Years by Sarah Damoff, because that just blew up, and I really wish I had gotten on that train, but I was busy. Guys. I'd be very interested to know what books you wish you had gotten to this year, what your highest rated or lowest rated books were, really just anything about your reading year, any of your answers to any of those questions in the book tag. I really would love to know. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. That would be just super if you could do that. I'm so glad you're here. I hope everybody has a fantastic New Year's Eve and start to the new year 2026. That is crazy. I'm very excited for the new year. I have a lot of ideas for future videos, and yeah, so stay tuned for that if you want. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye. Bye, bitches.
See you next year, or not.